Welcome, everybody. It is Thursday afternoon, and I'm here for the Peaceful Eating bi-weekly Q&A. My name is Vanya Fatidis, and I help people all around the world come to a place of peace and ease with food and their bodies. So I have a few questions this week to answer, and I'm going to get straight to it. I have a client I need to get to straight afterwards, so I will be here for as long as I can to answer these questions. All right, let me begin. Maybe actually before I begin, I'll just give you a headline about the questions so that you decide whether you want to stay. One person is asking about concerns about cravings. Somebody else is talking about their wish to embrace intuitive eating, how actually the kind of dieting paradigm of control, although it feels safe in some ways, is ruining this person's life, and advice about that. Then there's one about eating, this perception of eating too much and concerns about doing that in front of other people, and whether this is a function of being in a big family where perhaps there might have been some food scarcity. And another one about eating too much. Wanting to know the difference between binge eating and emotional eating, and wanting me to explain what sorts of things I am covering in the masterclasses. So I did one a few weeks ago called Break Free from Binge Eating. There's one coming up in June, which is all about how to deal with emotional eating. And then there's one in July, which is stress less with mindful eating. This person specifically asking about the binge eating and the emotional eating one. So I will get to all of those right now. So welcome. If you are here, please say hello. It's always nice for me to know that there are people there. I can see there are a few people online right now. And if you're watching the replay, hello. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. I'd really like to say hi. If you're watching it later on Facebook, same thing. It's just nice to know that there are people watching. And if you're watching it on my website, then there isn't, I don't think there is a comment place where you can comment anymore. All right, let us get started. So here's the first one. I sometimes imagine what the food tastes like and then have to eat that food to satisfy the craving for oral satisfaction. So that's all this question says. It's not really asking a question, but I'm going to kind of guess what I think this person is wanting to know. I'm guessing if this is you, let me know if I'm wrong. You can ask a supplementary question. Anybody can. Just say, I'm the person who asked whatever question, and then you can fill in the gaps for me and I'll have another go. Because it's hard, you know, if we can't have this back and forth, I can't clarify the question. But I'll have a go with this one. So I think what you're saying is that you have a thought in your mind about a food, and then there's this sort of drive that you have to have that thing, and you think that the craving is simply an oral satisfaction. It's just about oral satisfaction. It's simply about the taste. It's got nothing. There's no other reason for wanting those foods, whatever they are. And I mean, I'm guessing that you are finding this problematic. So I don't know if this is happening a lot of the time, all of the time, or just some of the time. I don't know how. I mean, there isn't a question here, so I'm not sure really what you are worried about here. But maybe you're judging that oral satisfaction is not a good enough reason to eat something. Perhaps you're concerned about the specific foods that you think about, then crave and then eat. Perhaps these are foods that you have certain concerns about, fear about, perhaps around your weight, perhaps around your health. So those are my guesses. So And maybe your question is about, this connection between thinking about something, then craving it, and having that urge, compulsion to eat that food. So I'll try and wrap that all up into one response. You see, if you come from a history of dieting or weight control, you can't really separate that from, a sort of binary, very simple black and white thing about this is oral satisfaction and that's all it is, and that's a wrong thing. There's nothing wrong with oral satisfaction. But I think what's important to know is you need to locate this where it belongs, which is in diet culture, which is A, making you wrong for eating purely for the pleasure of it, oral satisfaction. Um, and B, think, and then there's also the issue around this compulsion, which is all comes from diet culture. So the first thing I would say is there's nothing wrong with eating anything you want to eat. Probably the reason why this food is popping up in your mind is either because you just want that food, which is fair enough. Go and eat the food without guilt. The guilt is the thing that keeps driving this craving urge, the thing that feels uncontrollable. So um, yeah, I'm sorry, menopause moment. Lost my thread for a second. So you're imagining this food. So why is this food popping up? Maybe it's because you've been mentally restricting it, telling yourself you shouldn't eat this food, you shouldn't eat so much of this food. This food's bad, this food will make you gain weight, this food's unhealthy, etc. So if there's mental restriction, then those foods are going, well, any food that you are restricting is going to keep popping up in your mind. Literally any food. I mean, I remember when my daughter was traveling and she was in Ethiopia, and she had very no access really, or very little access to any fresh raw vegetables. Everything was, first of all, there was very little in the way of vegetables, and secondly, everything that there was cooked, and it was mostly sort of starchy foods. And when we picked her up at the airport, she just said, I'm just craving salad. So, any kind of restriction, whether it's, because you thinking it's unhealthy or just because you don't have access to it, can make you crave that thing. So, what you need to be doing is really giving yourself unconditional permission to eat what you want to eat. And by unconditional, I mean literally you can eat any food at any point for any reason without guilt. Then see if you can just stay connected with the eating experience. So, really taste it, notice what happens in your mouth and your body as you're eating it, not in a hypervigilant way, but just in a curious way, because if you're going to enjoy it, you're going to be paying attention to it, right? We enjoy really what we're paying attention to. You can't enjoy a sunset if you're not paying attention to the sunset. It's just kind of a thing that's there. It happened and you're just not paying attention, right? So if you really want to enjoy something, you need to be paying attention. So pay attention to what you're eating, and perhaps you might stop when it's not enjoyable anymore, if you want to. So I hope that helps. I mean, I don't think it's a problem to be eating whatever you want or to be listening to cravings. Usually, cravings are there because of restriction. It's either a mental restriction or there's a physical restriction, or there just is something your body actually does need. So don't overthink that. Just listen to whatever you are wanting to eat, whether it's what you think your body should want or not. This is how we learn how to trust ourselves and our bodies. Give yourself permission to eat what you want. Try to eat with attunement. Try to work towards eating with attunement. But it's not a condition that you're only eating when you're hungry, or that you stop at a sort of specific um, level of fullness. But you're working towards more of the time eating with attunement, hunger, fullness, and satisfaction. Okay, I hope that that helps. Oops, I've gone out of focus. Sorry, it's this camera is just appalling. I need to do something about it. Right, next question. I've been around the intuitive eating community now for a while and keep going in and then gaining weight and running back to the safety of my strict control. I'm ruining my life and my kids are getting older and seeing all of this. I just can't stop. I'm in so much fear. I can't give up the feeling safe in a small body part. I do have a therapist, but she helps me with general anxiety, and our sessions are not devoted to feeling safe around food and body, just general stuff. Most of my life is controlled by my anxiety, hence why I want some area to feel competent in. Yes, that same competent is stealing my whole life. I see that so clearly, but I can't stop because I don't feel safe unless I am thin. I know this goes back to child stuff, but telling myself you're in 2021 and almost 38 doesn't help. I can't get out of my DNA to feel safe around food and not compulsively exercise. It's seriously running my life. Baby steps maybe. I keep taking baby steps and then running back. How do I stay and not run back? That is such a huge question. And gosh, I mean, it's like sessions and sessions and sessions probably worth of one-to-one to unravel what is going on. It's difficult to uh, tell you what you need to do. There are a couple of things that come to mind. The one is you need to be super clear about why you'd want any change. Why would you want to eat intuitively? Why would you want to let go of the control? You know, you say you want to feel competent in a certain area of your life. And I suppose that competence is thinness. Or maybe it's about quelling anxiety. Maybe it's that when you feel so called in control of your body, that you think helps to reduce your anxiety. I would argue that it is exacerbating anxiety potentially, um, because there's always fear. So, either way around, whether you go for intuitive eating or you stay where you are, you're going to be experiencing anxiety. The thing is, in the loop that you're in, you just keep looping back and back and back and potentially looping into a downward spiral. I don't know, you say it's ruining your life and it's running your life. So to me, that sounds like a downward spiral. Whereas with intuitive eating, yes, there's going to be anxiety, but there is, I think, an opportunity for you to feel safe, to reduce your anxiety, and to relax more so that this is not running and ruining your life. Um, but it is going to require some holding. And so you say you're working with a therapist, but she is not working with this particular issue, and that's fair enough. And in some ways, it might be better not to, unless this person really does understand uh, intuitive eating and body image stuff and all of that, because there is so much weight centrism and anti-fat bias and fat phobia in psychotherapy, um, because we live in a world that is pretty fat phobic. So, I mean, I've had people in my groups and things who are working with fantastic therapists, brilliant, helping in so much, but do not understand about this other work and actually have caused harm. So, if you have the means, it would be helpful, I would suggest, particularly as you say it is both ruining and running your life, to seek out some help from somebody, to support you with this. So, you can always have a free discovery session with me if you want to explore that. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to plug my services. It's just that it's an incredibly complex thing, and it's very hard for people to do on their own. And if you've got some additional complexity, much harder. I'm not saying nobody can do it on their own. Definitely, people can and do it on their own, but it's dependent on so many different things. Your inner resource, your current level of resilience, the means that you have, the time that you have, the energy that you have, other things that are going on in your life, and other conditions that you might have that might be making it just so much harder. So that's what I would really suggest that you do, is at least seek out support or have some exploratory introductory sessions with people and see if somebody connects with you, and you feel that they can help you, they think that they can help you, you feel that they, yeah, exactly, both ways. So but what I would say is you need to be super clear on why you want anything different. you and if I was working with you, that's what we would probably spend a whole session on, is really understanding why you want this to be different, because at the moment the reasons to not change are bigger. And although in your prefrontal cortex you can see the damage this is doing, your limbic system, emotional, and your amygdala are very resistant to the change, and the reasons for not changing seem bigger and keep winning out. So you need to get super clear on why you want to make this change, what it will mean to you, um, uh, to be perhaps exploring your values and how moving towards intuitive eating might align with the values that you have as a human being, and perhaps how the old behaviors that you want to let go of might not align with your values. So I would probably go down that route to help you create the motivation to stay with it. Now, if you're doing this on your own, then every time things get hard, you're just going to keep running back to your old behaviors. And to be honest, even with help, you might do that, but at least you've got somewhere where you keep coming back and you take your next little micro baby step. I don't just talk about baby steps, but micro baby steps, like super tiny ones. You also then have a container where you can come and talk about it, unravel what actually is going on, how come you retreated, what were you telling yourself, but how are you feeling? What is it serving you right now? Because it is serving something. How can we, develop your ability to be with that kind of uncertainty and that difficulty? You need to really unravel your fat phobia, because for sure you have internalized fat phobia, as do most people, I would say, in Western culture. Some, are further along the scale than others. Um, so I hope that that helps. I can't obviously give you a straightforward answer, because this is, deep and deep work that has a lot of complexity and nuance. All right. As well as binge eating when I'm alone, I also feel that I don't have a cutoff switch when I'm eating a meal. If there is more food available, I just want to continue eating it. This is something I do in front of my family. It makes me look extremely greedy. If my family question me whether I actually need more, I get very defensive and feel annoyed with myself afterwards. I know my family are just trying to help me. They're not being unkind. How can I stop myself? I don't know if you took my binge eating masterclass, and really I don't know what your means are, but it's £30. You can buy the replay. It is worth you doing that, because I go through um, the three kind of layers. I see them as a pyramid. There's a foundational layer, there's a psychological middle layer, and a top layer. The bottom layer is all about making sure you're actually eating enough. The middle layer is all about the psychology around why you're binge eating. And then the top part of the pyramid is the habitual level, because this can be habit. What I'm suspecting, like, you haven't told me very much, but I'm suspecting that either you have been on diets a lot, and your weight has yo-yoed, that you and your family are concerned about your weight, um, and this interrupts your cues for eating, right? Because when we're dieting, we tend to override hunger, And because we're trying to suppress our weight, this is very threatening to the whole of our physical systems. It feels like a famine, even if it's a sensible eating plan. There's psychological and biological um, aspects to this, but you are probably either have been restricting or are restricting and physically restricting and or mentally restricting, trying to tell yourself, micromanage what, when, and how much you're eating. And this is a very big driver for binge eating. So I suspect that what is going on for you is that you don't give yourself unconditional permission to eat what you want, and also that you're trying to control your weight. And these two things are making it both difficult to recognize your fullness signals and triggering you for binge eating. So I do recommend you do that masterclass and potentially also the emotional eating one that is coming up and potentially also the mindful eating. I think all of these are going to be are building skills that will be super helpful for you in your continued journey. What I would say is I would suggest to your family that if they really want to help you, that they zip it up. I would put a boundary in that there to be no comments about what, when, or how much you're eating at all. You need to be able to tune into your body more, to listen to your appetite and your desires, right? And to be given permission internally, but also, from those around you. I know it doesn't sound like they're actually kind of holding down the food around you, but their so-called concern, which I understand is genuine, um, isn't isn't helping, and it makes you feel guilty about eating and ashamed for eating, and that's probably also why you then binge, by the way. So I would have a boundary with your family if they really want to help you. I don't know how old you are. If you're living with your family, I don't know if you are living with your parents and siblings, or if you're living with a partner and children, or what the situation is here. Um, but by all means, you can email me and clarify. But I would, whatever it is, you need to take responsibility yourself for eating and not have other people commenting or micromanaging you. All right. Welcome to more people who are watching. Please say hello. Be just so nice. I won't mention your name if you don't want me to. Well, I just won't mention names because some people don't like that. Okay. Let me see what is the next question. I've just got a few minutes left. I have always joked about being the runt of the litter. I've said that being from a large family, there's a part of survival that you eat as much as you can when it's available. I'm the fourth child out of 5. I was always a very small child, but began to gain weight from age 9. Do you think there is an element of truth in this statement, or is it just another excuse? I'm good at excuses. Look, the very first thing that I would say to you is please, 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 please be kind to yourself. Joking that you're the runt of the litter. I mean, I get the lightheartedness in it, but it sounds like it's self-deprecating, like you're putting yourself down, because the runt of the litter does what? Is sort of scrambling and sort of for the leftovers, doesn't, I don't know if you personally, if there is self-deprecation in there or some self-judgment. And then saying, I'm good at excuses, it also is not really a compassionate, understanding, kind, or loving way to talk about yourself. Um, I believe that every action is an attempt to meet a need. And so let us not shame ourselves for whatever those reasons are and whatever the actions are, and to call them excuses. There's a reason why you're behaving in this way. And uh, I think saying to yourself that's just an excuse, I'm not sure how helpful it is in really cultivating sustainable change. I much prefer self-compassion, understanding, and really trying to understand what is the need here. So to answer your question directly, there's an element of truth in the sense that if there's food scarcity, or if there is perceived food scarcity, like if everybody is like really hungry and there's food on the table and everybody comes and they scramble, and then sometimes there's not enough because somebody's taken a lot or more, then yes, if there's food scarcity, that is absolutely a driver for so-called overeating or even binge eating. I mean, my guess is that this isn't the situation any longer, and the behavior is enduring. So, probably in the interim, you've been trying to control your weight, or, yeah, trying to control your weight is my guess. And so you're recreating the sense of scarcity for yourself in trying to control how much you eat, or in telling yourself you need to eat less, or you mustn't eat so much, etc., etc. So the same advice really goes in terms of giving yourself unconditional permission to eat what you want and trying to stay checked into the eating experience. Noticing your hunger levels, noticing your fullness without judgment, without even trying to, only eat when you're hungry or stop at this point of fullness. But just curiosity, just being aware. Oh yeah, I was this hungry and I actually ate past fullness. Okay, that's interesting. Be kind to yourself, move on. Next time you are hungry, you're eating again. And of course, if you want to eat and you're not hungry, you be super curious about that, and try to explore with yourself why you might be doing that, and what might be going on. Right. I really, really very quickly, I'm going to just scoot on to the next one because I've got a client in a few minutes. So it's really about the difference between binge eating and emotional eating, and about the masterclasses. So it's a great way to end. As I said, I've just finished the binge eating one a couple of weeks ago. The emotional eating one is coming up. So the difference really between binge eating and emotional eating, they definitely have similarities to them. Binge eating is almost always going to be a response to restriction, physical and or mental restriction, not giving yourself the permission to eat, dieting, weight suppression, all of that, and or thinking about doing it. Also, trauma can be, a sort of root cause of binge eating. And emotional eating is more eating in response to emotions. Boredom, it's not necessary. See, binge eating, there's compulsion, there's speed, there's a lot of food. Emotional eating can be, you know, snack, 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 one of those sitting at the desk, a bit bored, a bit annoyed, a bit irritated, but maybe angry, maybe hurt, maybe not wanting to sit with the feelings. It may also have an element of restriction in there. So there's less, binge eating has a kind of frenetic energy to it that emotional eating doesn't usually, or doesn't always, but it might also. There definitely are crossovers. But in terms of the master classes, they are quite different. I haven't actually finished creating the emotional eating masterclass yet, but it is going to be significantly different to the binge eating masterclass. I'm not going to be teaching the same thing with different words. They're going to be different skills. So in the binge eating masterclass, I gave skills, I gave tools, and in the emotional eating masterclass, I will also be giving skills and tools that are different from the binge eating masterclass. So I hope that is yeah, I hope to see you. Come join. Hi, hi, hi. Thanks for saying hello. I hope that you will come and join. I'd love to see you there. And there will be replays available, a workbook. I'm really not holding back. I'm giving people as much as I possibly can that's digestible in about an hour and a half. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great couple of weeks. Please ask me questions, peacefuleating.co.uk/ask, and I will answer in 2 weeks' time. All right, take care. Bye for now.